One of the forms of economic stimulus that our country is no longer going to be feeling, right? The stimulus is going to be leaving, is the 13 weeks of extended unemployment benefits that those who were being able to utilize unemployment assistance are going to be losing. We had the CARES Act, everybody knows about that, and most states on an individual level give residents 26 weeks of unemployment assistance. But per the CARES Act, states were able to receive funds that allowed them to extend that level of assistance for residents from 26 weeks to 39 weeks. And if you don't know, if you are receiving unemployment benefits, and this goes for those who were, receiving any type of state unemployment, right? If you are receiving that unemployment, be aware that the end of this year, the last week of this year, is the last week that those benefits are going to be paid out. So if you are going to be in that period of extended benefits at that time, be advised that your unemployment benefits are just going to stop. If you will be getting to the point that you were maybe that next week or, within a few weeks of the end of the year, if you are going to be approaching a time where you should be able to take advantage of those benefits, maybe at some point in January, those benefits will not be available. So depending on who you are and where you fall in either of those camps, be prepared to either have your benefits just stop the end of the year and know that there will not be any extension coming. You'll stop getting unemployment payments. Or know that you'll be in a situation where if you were originally told when you received a determination letter from your state's unemployment agency that, look, you're going to get unemployment benefits until X and such date, know that your benefits may actually stop earlier. Okay, and they may stop earlier because, again, the originally projected date may have been past those initial 26 weeks that your state would have given you, and actually may be part of that 13-week extension period. That is the PEUC, Pandemic Unemployment Unemployment Compensation, the PEUC, I believe, program. So what I advise you to do, hear me out. If you were unsure, or if you think you're sure, or if you know you're sure, I would advise you, if you were in a state that has not had any problems with people being able to contact their unemployment agency, call, see if you can find out, hey, on the last week of the year, December 26th, whatever, will I be, utilizing my regular unemployment benefits that those initial weeks, or will I be in the PEUC program? I advise you to find out. This way, you will not be surprised if your benefits just stop, or if you have planned for your benefits to last you maybe until February or whenever, be advised that, hey, my benefits are actually going to just stop beforehand. So call if you're in an area where you're able to get through. I know there are some states where people cannot get through. I've heard unfortunate stories where people have called for hours, right? And they are just not able to get through. And so if you are in that type of situation, what I advise you to do, if you're not able to get through, whether you've had that unfortunate experience yourself, or if it's been a situation where you have heard that people can't get through, try to take another means of finding out. Maybe that means reaching out to your local elected officials. Not obviously they wouldn't be able to, find out for you specifically, but if they get enough calls from constituents asking about this, they will reach out more likely than not to your unemployment agency and ask them or kind of urge them to put out some sort of notice, right? So that way you can have some sort of general idea. I might also advise, if you don't want to kind of go that route, try and scour your agency's website to see if they can provide you with some sort of guidance. But again, the key thing here, both of those options are not really ideal, because what I want for you specifically, right? You've endured enough. Your family has endured enough. You don't have a family, because we always make it seem like families are the only people who experience hardship. Single people experience hardship all the time. No matter who you are as an American, most likely you've dealt with some form of hardship. And if you don't have to deal with the hardship of not knowing specifically trauma coming to your specific economy, that's ideal, and again, having you reach out to an elected official who can't tell you anything about you specifically, or looking at a website which really won't tell you anything about you specifically, it's not ideal. But if you have to go that route, do it. If you are confident in your counting skills, like if you could 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, consider going onto your state's website, finding out the number of weeks that they offer, and then going on to your actual account on the unemployment website, finding out when your claim started and counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So do what you think will work for you. But again, if you can, preferably put yourself in a situation where you're able to call, try and do that, because that will be the easiest things to do. Now, we have seen from some states, they have actually tried to take matters into their own hands, and they have actually said, look, we're just going to go ahead and we are on our own dime going to increase the benefit period and pay people longer than we otherwise would. That's a noble thing, right? That's a very noble thing. But here's the deal. In the words of our president-elect, here's the deal. As much as they are doing this, as some people would say, out of the kindness of their hearts, it's not really that. It's because they understand that the impact on the economy is too great for them not to do it. But the deal is, they need money to do it. They can't pay you with IOUs. They can't pay you with monopoly money. They actually need money to do this. And so this is why, as some people are opposed to, which I don't understand, this is why we have people like Nancy Pelosi saying, look, we've got to pay people money, right? Obviously, yes, states need to pay, workers, they need to pay firefighters, yada, 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 so on and so forth. But you have to understand, it also helps them provide extra benefits that their constituents need, such as this. Now, as much as we can talk about the fact that very few states have actually kind of stepped up to the plate and said, look, we barely have the money, but we're going to do this on our own dime for now, and hopefully we'll be reimbursed later, or whatever the case might be. You also have some states who have said, look, we're just not going to do anything, right? And maybe they don't do anything because their local, in the eyes of their leadership, their local economy isn't that bad, right? And it's like, oh, it's not that bad that we have many, many people who are about to be evicted. It's not that bad. Obviously, politics is like other kind of avenues of life where people really don't see the impact of things until it impacts them personally, right? And so it's unfortunate that some leaders can be like that, because they can eat every night, because their children aren't suffering, because their bank account isn't really losing value. They don't really understand what has happened to you, whether they just literally don't have the capacity to understand because of the fortunate situation they happen to be in, or could just be because they just genuinely just don't want to understand. But whatever the case might be, there are some politicians who have made the call that even if the funds are available, they are not going to do anything to help their people, because in their minds, again, the economy is not that bad. Or if they see that things are bad. They just may say, look, there's not a political benefit. I've talked about before, again, when we look at what has happened with our failure to actually get economic stimulus passed in this session, where we've now just come to a lame duck session, we see what's happened with the Senate Republicans, specifically Republicans who are not up for re-election. Those Senate Republicans run on being, and I'm using air quotes, fiscal conservatives. And when they run on being fiscal conservatives, if they're not up for re-election, they have to project this kind of image of being fiscally conservative. So it's not politically expedient to appear to be anything but fiscally conservative if they don't have to pay the price for not doing what's in the best interest of the people. Hopefully you understand what I meant by that. So, and look, when we overall look at these different states kind of doing different things, we need a unified approach. Obviously, certain states are dealing with other issues that other states aren't, whether because of size, demographics, whatever. I get that. But just how, for instance, we should have a national mask mandate, because it's not like COVID in the air just stops at the state lines. At the same point, because we have kind of a national economy, as important as individual states' economies are, they all make up our national economy. And we can't have some states being robust and others kind of being super lackluster and barely hobbling by. So we have to do what works, and we have to help, all these states. But anywho, I'm going to end on this. Just consider what we have tried, and what we've tried has not worked, right? We've tried not having a national kind of plan for dealing with COVID, and we've tried not having that plan has not been national when it comes to dealing with the pandemic itself or the economy. What has worked and what hasn't? Let's look at that. Let's be smart about what we decide to do going forward.